So, guys, I wanted to talk to you about the banzuke because I'll tell you, my head is wrecked alone with just reading the comments, everybody's opinions on it and what they're thinking about it. I mean, some of them have been fun, but I was wanting to ask you what you think are going to happen. I know that recently Ichinojo Oyakata has made some comments to the press about it, and we'll get to that in a wee minute. But see, as far as the actual ranking systems are going to go for September, so many Kyujos happened, some with good scores like Ichi Yamamoto, some with not so good scores like Daesho, who had to pull out at a 6-7 and didn't even get a chance to finish for his Kachikoshi. So, and it's up in there with Ichinojo finishing so well at Maegashira 2 and taking the Yusho. Can he really be denied a Sanyaku position? I just feel like so many people done well that stayed can't be denied a bump up. But how can they bump people too far down when beforehand, when people pull out with Kyujo COVIDs, then they were only maybe bumping them one rank down at most, and some of them were getting to keep their rank altogether. So I would love to know what your thoughts are in it.
I think it's a real tricky one, mate, because you've got people who did really, really well, like Terunofuji. He Maegashira 2. I reckon he should be promoted to Maegashira 1. He pulled out, buddy, with a record of 7-3, and still had a few days to go.
Absolutely.
And who's to say he wouldn't have got another buddy win and then been promoted to Maegashira 1? It's a really, really difficult one to buddy.
Right. No, you're right.
I hate to be putting this thing together, and then you've got people who there'll have to be some people who pulled out early who will have to get demoted one spot. They'll have to be. You can't just keep them there, especially when other people get so good.
Well, with Ichinojo totally beating 7 out of 8 of the Sanyaku who were available before everything happened with COVID, it's definitely a legitimate Yusho for him. A lot of people were trying to say that he was doing well because everybody was off with COVID, but or under lock and key. But he definitely deserved it. He got a another Kimboshi. He had everyone above him except
Shodai. Shodai was the only Sanyaku guy to defeat him. He beat everybody else, including the Yokozuna. You're right, mate.
Yeah, so Mitakeumi doesn't get a free ride, as the great Kintamayama said. He will have to keep his Kadoban status, so he doesn't get to take advantage of the situation. So he'll be back on the chopping board again. So yeah, whether or not they let him go straight up to Sanyaku, I mean, there's got to be at least 8 to 12 in there. So how many have we got? There is room. Because as long as, I mean, they don't have any extra spots with Yokozuna, they're a bit light on with them, and the Ozeki, they're sort of maintaining it there, and then they can shove him in. So yeah, there's going to be a bit of movement. I think they'll put their names on chopsticks and chuck them down the stairs. I mean, normally it's a lot of people like to predict it, but sometimes it's up to Jewish laser beams from space, or the Yakuza that came up. The Yakuza got blamed. That was ridiculous.
Hold on. What do you mean the Yakuza? You're telling me that the Yakuza doesn't decide sumo bouts?
Yeah, some galoots seem to know everything on the Facebook. We're blaming the Yakuza. I mean, how ridiculous.
Well,
they're in with the Gyoji. Perhaps they've got some from some photos from the last time they had a bit too much sake in the karaoke bar.
I just want to know who it is I've been making bets with then, if the Yakuza haven't got anything to do with it. Do you know what I mean? What is going on? This is shot.
The funny thing is, with all these conspiracy theories, what they don't realize is, firstly, they're making up this stuff out of the bottom part of the Moashi when as soon as it happens, they're using hindsight. And what it means is, if somebody does a bout, which by chance ended up to be not decisive, who won or not, and whether or not the judges got it right or wrong, suddenly they got it together. All 5 judges, the 2 video refs, the experts, head judge, the Gyoji all got together and did a quick conspiracy, and then they thought, oh, let's do a bit of chuck in a bit of xenophobia and a bit of corruption, and that really works. So it's so good to have experts on Facebook, isn't it?
Do you know somebody that I was going to actually ask your opinions on that I had mentioned previously? Dohyo. He's sitting at Sekiwake, and he had a losing record to finish with after 13 days. With only 2 days to go, there was a huge chance that he was maybe going to get Makikoshi. Also, that chance he could get his Kachikoshi. He done well in the previous basho. He's a very yo-yo guy. So he is. He's very hot and cold. Do you know what I mean? When he does well, he does amazing. And then when he does crap, he's abysmal. There's never really a middle ground with him much. So I'm unsure whether with only 2 days left, do you think his Sekiwake rank will be saved, especially with everybody else getting their Kachikoshi in the Sanyaku, and except for Mitakume, obviously, and Ichinojo doing so well at M2 and taking the Yusho? Should he not get that bump up to the Sanyaku?
Yeah, I think Dohyo is so scary for him. You know, he can be so good. Terunofuji is scared shitless of him.
Aye.
All right, and he can beat anybody on a good day. All right, but some days he just doesn't have a good days. And I think he's in about the right spot on the banzuke. All right, this is where he should be. Right. There are people who are Ozekis. I don't think they should be there. All right, I won't go into them. We all know who that is. All right, but I think he's in about the right spot. He can beat any of the top ones and has. All right, but he gets beaten by lower ranked ones as well. So I think he's in the right spot. But like I said, I'd hate to be trying to organise that.
Aye.
He could have lost it and he could have gone up. You don't know. So I reckon that based on what he's got there, you should probably keep him about where he is.
I know that's so you think that's just John. What do you think? Same as Broom, that he's just going to stay at Sekiwake, or do you think there's a chance they will bump him down?
Well, he kind of did get a Makikoshi, so
that's what I thought.
Yeah, it is sort of he might go down. I mean, there are a few people that will stay. Even Uro might even keep his place.
Aye.
Because 6 wins is not as good as say 7, so he shouldn't move too far.
Aye.
But it's a hard one.
Aye. As well, let me ask you this then, John. See the Sekiwake and Komusubi ranks. Can there be more than 2 on each level for our listeners who might not know? Can there be more than 2 at any time?
I mean, starting from the top, Sanyaku means the top 3 ranks, even though it's sort of four really. And the Yokozuna, like if there's no Ozeki, the Yokozuna becomes like an Ozeki on the banzuke anyway. And so there must be at least 1 Sekiwake and Komusubi on each side. So that's 2, but it's on each side of the banzuke, east and west. So there can be more, but it just depends. So maybe they might be lenient this time and bump a few more up. But as Kintama Yama said, when we asked him, does the banzuke ever lie? And he's like, if it does, it only lies once. So, I mean, they'll sort out the wheat from the chaff from the next basho, because it was a very strange basho, and some people didn't like it. I still thought it was quite interesting that we saw lots of matchups we may not have seen, and we saw lots of good sumo at the right time and bad sumo at the wrong time.
Well, do you know something? It was an extremely interesting basho, despite all the COVID cujos that had to happen throughout, because it seemed every couple of days there was more guys falling to it or having no choice due to their hair. But some real controversies come out of this basho as well, which it just heightened the interest in it. The first thing that I was wanting to talk to you guys about is this bout between Terunofuji and Wakamoto Haru. It was just the belt coming off, the Gyoji stopping it. There's the whole thing. Was he right to stop it? because the Rikishi were in motion, should they not have stopped it and waited to a point where they were still again? It's kind of up in the air. So I would love to hear what you guys think about this and maybe hopefully help clear up some of the misconceptions about how it went down.
Yeah, I've seen the I've seen the bouts get stopped before, but it's generally when they've been together for 30 seconds. You know, there's a definite time period and it doesn't look like they're going to do anything. And it's the first time I've ever seen where, you know, they had stopped, but they hadn't stopped for long and there was still a little bit of movement. And it's the first time I've seen it where they haven't been locked together for 30 seconds before the Gyoji stopped it and done up the Mawashi.
I agree
First
with that.
time. So, and I think he was going to smash Terunofuji. And
trust and
as soon as you reset it, everything went back to Terunofuji, and he had the complete advantage. Because he's always the one who's going to smash everybody. He's that powerful, right? But he was exhausted at that point, and I think he was going to lose.
And they didn't even reset them in the same position, which really bothered me. And actually, in one of my news videos that I've done on the World of Sumo channel, I actually pointed this out. I had two pictures of the stopping shot and the after shot of putting up for people to see, because I didn't like how they reset them, how they restarted them, the position they were in. The whole thing made me uncomfortable. And I do fully believe that Wakamoto Haru would have been able to finish him off if not that they got to rest and be stationary again and Teru got to reset. John, what's your opinions on that, mate?
Yeah, it was a situation that really polarized a lot of people. A lot of people didn't understand that you can't start again, which probably wouldn't have been to the Wakamoto Haru's advantage, because he would have had to go through the tachi-ai again. But normally when they fix up the Mawashi, the one thing I still have to work out is, why are they interfering anyway? Because if your Mawashi comes undone, you lose it. So it's up to the discretion. It's not a lot of people say, oh, it's in the rules that they have to do it. That's not a rule. It's a regulation. I did a bit of investigation, and but first of all, because a lot of the amateur sumo ones, regulations for the Gyoji are the same ones. And that says when a Mawashi becomes loose during a bout, the Gyoji shall call mata, meaning wait, to halt the bout temporarily. So both competitors must freeze in their positions, kumite, until the bout is restarted. The Gyoji shall not order the temporary halt of a bout during offensive moves of competitors. Now, the Gyoji could have pulled out, like he went to do it and they were moving, whether or not he saw that they were moving. Like, he had ample opportunity to do it before, and I suppose it wasn't coming undone that much, but he could have pulled out at that stage. It wasn't such a big deal. But the interesting thing is the actual Nihon Sumo Kyokai, the Japan Sumo Association, their own regulations for the Gyoji says during the contest, if the shimekomi, that's the silk mawashi of a rikishi, is stretched up to the breast in a situation where it is easy to stop the bout, the Gyoji can halt the movements and retighten it. So, yeah, the main point is it has to be easy to stop, and the Gyoji is not obliged to do it. It's just a precautionary action, and it didn't look like it was about to come off. I mean, I've warned them and they had to get off. So, yeah, sometimes you just think it's the Gyoji trying to interfere in case they get in trouble. See, the Gyoji he probably has a lot of pressure on him if he didn't do anything about it, but wardrobe malfunctions are very rare. I'll just say let them fight. If he'd waited a few seconds, we'll never know who was actually going to win, whether Terunofuji was going to find his gas, which I don't really think so. He was getting manhandled at that stage by somebody a lot smaller. And he'd also, he'd been pushed out easily by Ichinojo. he didn't want to get injured. He's just there to preserve himself at the moment. He's trying to keep the rank. He's doing well for someone who just has to show up, and now he'll still be doing okay. As long, and you can just see the stress in his face. It's very red, even before he starts. Yeah.
So sorry, Broom.
He's one bad fall away from retirement, I'm afraid. That man.
Yep.
Aye.
Yeah, he has to one bad landing off the Dohyo, or you know.
And
But
John,
he's not far off being Yokozuna. He's not far off being Yokozuna by default,
That's right.
is he?
Aye.
10,
And I think that's what he'll do. Yeah.
Aye, and so John, know how you were saying like the stress in his face and he's looking red. Do you think that obviously maybe his diabetes is also could come into play in his health, because when you're at a high stress level as well, on top of the fact that his wife hasn't long had twins, on top of being a Yokozuna, wanting to be a Dai Yokozuna and get double-digit Yusho, know what I mean? And then there he was going for 8, and his best mate in the world beat him after losing 12 straight to him, and suddenly decided that he was going to show up the day. And that's something I want to jump to and all. Ichinojo, day 5, Nagoya, 2022, taking none of the Yokos in his snash. I mean, even when Terunofuji bent his arms right up, Ichinojo just done this thing where suddenly he was like double jointed and let his arms bend and let go. And I think that was Terunofuji's opportunity to push him back, but he didn't know that Ichinojo had let go to turn his arms and not get bent and then let him re-grab. And see, the minute he had done that and Ichinojo's stomach had Terunofuji's arms wider than what he likes, it definitely caused the issue and what made Ichinojo be able to overpower him, because people are too quick to judge Ichinojo on a lot of his medical problems, which I covered in the video I done on him after he won that Yusho. But he was
shingles.
The shingles.
And
exactly, because he done so well, he came barreling up that banzuke. I mean, see, for a while, people were starting to worry that he was going to be a Yokozuna before he could tie a top knot in his hair, because he'd done that well. So I know I've rambled on, guys, so I'll let you take the floor here. Thoughts on Ichinojo v Terunofuji?
He's done bloody wonderful. I mean, he's a Mogashira too, so he's no bloody slouch. And the best thing he ever did was lose all that weight, that he lost. His back isn't playing up anywhere near as bad as it used to. He just couldn't do anything when that was playing up. That would stop his matches. As soon as he started to go backwards, it was all over. He just walk out and give up. But since he lost that weight, it's a complete turnaround.
I think I found what he did with that weight.
Yeah.
There's only a finite amount of fat in the world, and somebody loses weight, someone else finds it. I think I found it.
John discovered he found Ichinojo's weight as soon as he went up another t-shirt size. Oh no!
Actually, when I first met him, I'll have to check the thing. He wasn't so big, and nor was I. So I've got some before and after shots I'll have to share. 7 out of 8 of the Sonyaku, and that's pretty impressive.
Right. Do you guys think that? Do you think that he'll be able to keep this up, or do you think that it might be a wee bit of a yo-yo for him for a while again?
Well, after he's won a basho like that, generally their second one's always worse. Just based on tradition, because of all the meetings and all the
eating and drinking and parties and
all the piss ups, so they don't train as hard.
Right, and if you win your weight in things like rice and
that's right.
He's not going to be able to get through that. Do you know what I mean? That is the biggest barrel of rice MD's going to have seen for a while. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and their weight in prime wagyu cuts, not just a carcass.
Yeah, I think it's a mark of a great rikishi that he can back one Yusho up with either another Yusho or very close to it. It happens very rarely that these Mogashiras who won Yushos ever get close to winning again straight away.
Right, yeah,
it's funny how you only need to sort of string together a couple of basho at the right time once you're an ozeki, but it's bloody hard to do. That's why we've had so many random Yusho winners in the last few years, after having it completely dominated by a couple of the usual suspects from Mongolia, and then it's opened up and it's like musical Yusho. They each get a chance. You get a Yusho. You get a Yusho.
Well, when
Yusho's for everybody.
when you get two Maegashira 17s, get a Yushos, you got to start to wonder.
Yeah.
Aye. It was starting to look like the January basho was starting to be cussed with all these. It seemed to be that was the I think it was like 6 or 7 years in a row. It was a first Yusho for someone. Or the big guys partying too much over the Christmas period, probably, and not ready for it. Know what I mean? Leaving the doors wide open.